Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday's Q&A. Today, we are in the Shedbury, which is Molly's old summer house. Molly's my daughter, and when she's never really, we bought it as playhouse, but she's 21 now. She don't play in a wooden house. So what I managed to do is to get the old leather sofa, squeeze it in, and this is where I go for a kip on a Sunday afternoon after I've had a couple of beers on a Sunday afternoon. Retire here, get the music on, have a little sleep. It's lovely. Spring is here, like spring. Anyway, today's Q&A number 2, or as I was going to refer to it as the Andrew Broadbent Q&A. Morning, mate. Because Andrew has fired several questions at me this week, all of which incredibly pertinent. So you give the man his due, he's asking good questions, and here we go. So, right. But we'll start with Michael Ogden. PODs and invoices. Do they go to the factoring company? No. Now, the way it works with me, and it works with different people with different factoring companies, what I do, there is a video, in short, go to the job, get your paper POD. If you haven't got one, make your own one up, get them to sign it, and then get beside a digital one on the CX, which you send via email. And then at the end of the week, you get your paper POD, which you got signed on the day. I do all my invoices. I print them off. I staple the paper POD to the back of the invoice, and then you send that to the address on the invoice. So that will then get sent to the customer, the person who they'll send to the invoice address, which is normally to the shipper. They'll get to the shippers are the people that give you the jobs. The customers are the people that you arrive at, as far as I understand it. I might be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong, because I need to sort of clarify this myself. And then once they've got the invoice, then they'll presumably, once the shipper gets it, they'll pass it on to the customer. The customer will pay them, then they will pay you. So that's why it takes 30 days, I guess. As far as the factoring companies are concerned, what I do with mine, which is Castle Finance, based down in Bristol, free plug there, guys. They're very good in the fact that they actually have other CX drivers on their payroll. So what I do with them is I give them access to my CX so they can log on. So they've got my password and they've got my username. And at any one stage, at the end of every week, they've got their own system called the E3. I load up everything onto the E3 that I've done that week and send them across PDFs of all the invoices. But at any one stage, they can log on to my CX and see what I've done. So they know what I've done for the week, and the rest of it is behind the illusion, behind the velvet curtain. I don't know how it works. I just know that I do the jobs, send the jobs that I send to them. Not all of them. Some jobs pay me on a weekly. A couple of people, three people pay me weekly. Those I don't run through the system. I just send them off individually. But the ones I load onto the E3, they go off to Castle. Castle pay me. So hope that clears things up slightly. Mares Trella, probably got that name wrong. Sorry. Buying a van. Did I buy it on finance? Yes and no. I'm in a very lucky situation. I have a good friend of mine who basically lent me the money. So the long and the short of it is I had to borrow the money off a friend, and I am paying him back with interest. But it's only the same kind of money that if I'd have gone to a finance company, I'd be paying the same thing. And we had a chat about it, and he decided he'd rather have the dough than them. So, but yeah, I mean, you factor it into your costs. I think you should be looking, when you're running the miles, you're going to say that van is costing you 20 quid a day, 20, 30 pounds a day in Luton, in wear and tear and that kind of thing. So when you're looking to replace it and that kind of thing. But I bought my van on finance. I mean, you'd like to get in a situation where you're earning good money, in which case you stick a little bit away every week so that when the time comes to change the van, it's sitting there. But as you guys know on the CX yourself, it's not always that easy to make the good money. And yeah, this refers back to a question I'm going to do later on. But at the moment, I borrowed the money to buy the van, and I'm paying the guy back on a monthly basis, but I'm paying him back, so that's cool. Danny Thomas, Luton vans versus long wheelbases. Again, good question, Danny. I'm going to do a whole video on the pros and cons of every van, because I think that will help people out. The long and short of it is, for me, it's Luton every time, because I've said before, you can do any job in a Luton van, small van, motorbike. You can do a motorbike job if it's an envelope and if you're in Newcastle and they need an envelope taken back to London and you're in Luton, I'll take that envelope down and I'll charge you £100 because it's 300 miles. As long as they're happy you taking it, you put it in the cab, drive it down. You still get £100 for going south, didn't you? On the subject of Luton vans versus long wheelbases, the long wheelbase has one advantage on the Luton van, which is that it can carry more weight. They're both 3.5 ton laden weight, but because the Luton van is bigger, and particularly if it's got a tail lift, the tail lift weighs half a ton. On a Luton van, you can only really get a ton. Whereas if you've got a long wheelbase, no tail lift, probably get a ton and a half on that. So if someone needs to move 3 pallets, and they're all like 500 kilos each, couldn't do it in my van, but you could do it in a long wheelbase. But anyway, I'll do a whole video on this when I get around to it and clear that one up. The Andrew Broadbent Show. Hey, Andrew. Andrew asked me a question about tail lifts and Vosa. And he said, I noticed that Vosa, because it's got tail lift, it comes under LORA regulations, which means it needs servicing every 6 months. I've got to be honest with you, before I was courier driver, I was a market trader. First I've heard. I think I had my tail lift serviced twice in its life, and that's only because it broke. And as far as I understand, as far as Vosa are concerned, all they care is, does it steer, does it stop, and can you see it at night time? They don't care about the upholstery. They don't care about, whether your fan belt's on the way out or whether the water pump ain't working. They don't even care if your engine blows up. That means they can say the engine's going to blow up anytime soon, but we don't care. All we care about is it safe? Is it going to hurt anybody? Now, I could be wrong on this. Once again, this is kind of why we do this. If you've got a better idea than I have, please give me a call or give us a little notey thing, and then I'll pass it on to everybody else. But I've never worried about tail lifts. Obviously, you've got your MOT, but I don't think they ever look at a tail lift. So, mobile data. Do I go through a ton of mobile data? Now, I've got to be honest with you, Andrew. When I started, this terrified me. I thought I'm going to have the sat-nav running all day long. I have the BBC iPlayer app running all day long. We flip between Radio 2 and Radio 6, depending what time of day it is. And you've got the CX running all day long. It's not that bad. It's difficult for me to say because I'm on a family sharing plan. And I think between the three of us, we've got like 20 gig of data for the month. My wife doesn't use much. The kids uses a fair bit, but I think I certainly use less than 10 gig a month. So it's not terrifying. I guess it's probably you eat it up if you're watching Netflix on your phone, or if you're doing YouTube videos, or if I'm uploading YouTube videos. But on the whole, running the sat-nav, I run the sat-nav all day long. I run the radio all day long, the iPlayer. And I run the CX constantly. You're forever checking it, And no, it's not that bad. So not too scary on that score. Another good question from Andrew. Does the exchange generate a unique invoice number? Yes, it does, which is dead handy. And I was quite lucky that when it started, I clocked onto this one quite quickly. So what it does is you can set it up, and the best thing to do is just ring them. And I would say when you start, set it up with a prefix. Now the prefix I've got is my CX number. So it's my 6-digit CX number and then -1. So the first job I ever did was my CX number -1. And then the second job I did was my CX number -2. I'm now up to nearly 300 jobs. It's not tons, but of course you've got to bear in mind there were some that I did that weren't on the invoices that are offside the exchange. But yeah, that's dead handy. So it automatically generates that, and it also has its own invoicing accounting system, which I don't really use at the moment because I've got the finance people doing it. Although in a week or two's time, we're going to move over to QuickBooks, and I have it on good authority that the CX is also looking to click in with QuickBooks. So if you're looking for an online accounts packaging, I don't get no money for this, by the way. I think QuickBooks is probably going to be the way forward. I'm going to click it. I've been using the old-fashioned green Simplex D book because I'm a market trader. That's what I always used to do. But I'll keep you posted on that one, let you know how it goes. And finally, how much do I pay myself a week? Well, at the moment, because I'm still recovering from the old market trader business, I basically pay myself what's left. So I get to Thursday, and all my bills have come out, my gas, my electric, mortgage, that kind of stuff, and then whatever's left in the account, I pay myself, and then that's what I live off. I am going to try to regulate this more. I'm going to try and get it locked down more, trying to get more regular jobs, but then you've got to bear in mind, like I say, I'm 6 months in, and you can't run before you can walk, and at the moment, all I'm doing is trying to fathom everything out, and slowly but surely, everything is clicking into place. So, but at the moment, I just pay myself what's left, and then sort of, Right, Mark Shaw, CX vetting. How do they vet you to get onto the CX? Well, there's 3 things they want to see. They want to see your driving license, you know, that it's proper and it's kosher and it's, you know, they don't care if you've got points, but they want to know that you've got one. They want insurance, so they'll need to see the fact that you've got to prove that you've got the hire and reward and you've got the carriage insurance. And thirdly, you have to pass the CX online test, which is, I've covered this before, it's a little bit Mickey Mouse in the nicest possible way. It's a test that they want you to pass. So, I mean, I got a few questions I didn't know, because I didn't know what I was doing. Can you co-load on? And then you realise, I got about question 5, that there's like a help bar down the side that tells you the answers to the questions. I'm like, and even, you can't, it's one of them tests, it's like the knowledge, you can't fail it. If you don't pass the first time, you can, and you do it in sections on the computer. If you don't pass a section, then you just go back and do it again. And it's not like, okay, you're out, you can't come in now. It's not like an exam. Not like, you know, your A-levels or your O-levels or something like that, you're out. It's like, well, you failed section 2. Go back to the beginning and do it again. You failed section 2 again. Go back to the beginning and do it again. You passed section 2. Well done. Here's section 3. That kind of thing. It's about 13 sections. Takes on average an hour to an hour and a quarter to do, but it's not difficult. Honestly, it's really not tricky, and there's help down the side. So don't forget that bit. Michael Hall. How much mileage do I do a year? Michael, it's again, depends. I personally am doing probably 60,000 miles a year. I did 500 miles alone on Friday because I had to go up to Darlington from Dunstable to pick up. I had to pick up 2 kidney machines from Nottingham and drop them off in Darlington, and then of course come all the way home. I could have stayed up in Darlington, but it's a Friday. You ain't going to get a job back on a Saturday. And besides, I had time to run home. I dropped the machines at 11 o'clock in the morning, so I thought I'd make my way back. What a day that was. We had 3 motorway closures in a day, and every single job, I think this is the last video, it was a nightmare. But so I'm going to be doing a lot of miles. So, but the thing is, they're motorway miles, so they're not going to put that much strain on your van. My van drives itself now. I get onto the motorway, I stick it up to 60 miles an hour, I put on the auto cruise, you take your feet off the pedals, just drive the van. It's very straightforward. So there's not a lot of parts, clutches and all that going, it's just driving, the engine's going. Alternatively, my mate Tony spends a lot of time doing London. So he'll be in and out of London all day long. He can do a whole day from 4 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night and do a quarter of a bar of fuel. He might, across a whole day, I've only done a total of like 100 miles. But picking up, drop, picking up, drop, picking up, drop. And that's a good way to do it. If you can get multi-drops around the London area, it's a good way to make money and not actually drive yourself mad. But again, nice work if you can get it. We're all trying. We'll all get there in the end. What you really want in an ideal world is for someone close to you to say, I need you to come in every morning. Say, for example, you live, say where you live, where I live in Dunstable. I want someone in like an industrial estate in Dunstable saying, I have got multi-drops that need to be dropped in Dunstable, Luton, St Albans, Watford all day long. And you go in, pick up 5 pallets, drive to Watford, 5 different places, quarter of a mile apart. For every drop you get 25 quid. Drive back into Dunstable, do the same in Leighton. Think about it, you could do that 3 times a day. You could make £300-400 a day, do no diesel. That's an ideal world. I don't have that at the moment. I'm driving here, there and everywhere. I get it sometimes, but not always. So, but it's what we're all working for. So Andrew Moreau cleared up the VAT thing. Thanks again for pointing it out. The long and short of it is this we covered this last week, that you can contact the VAT man, or you used to be able to contact the VAT man and say that you so you charge 20% on your jobs, and then you claim, but you only pay the VAT man 10%. So which really works out at 12. So say, for example, you do a job for £100, you charge them 120, then you only pay the VAT man back 10%, but because it's 120, you pay back £12. So you get to keep £8. But you don't claim anything. So you can't claim on your fuel, you can't claim on your parts, you can't claim on your wear and tear, you can't claim on your postage, but it still would take the aggravation out of it. But then he said they changed the rules. He thinks they changed the rules. So it's now 16% you've got to pay back, in which case it's just not even worth it. And then he sent me another email and he kind of went, on the miles that we're doing, or the miles that I'm doing, he said, sorry, you're better off staying as you are. You're better off paying the VAT and claiming the VAT. So thanks for drawing it to my attention. I will keep an eye on it, but as it is for now, I'm going to take your advice and stick as I am. Thanks very much. Stephen Veach, did I set up a company? No, because I had one set up already. Like I say, I was a street market trader. I think I started working for myself in 1995. So I started working for myself when I was about 25 years old. So all I've done is carried on that same company. At some stage, I will let them know that I'm no longer a market trader. I'm now haulage, because they're going to wonder how come all of that thing's changed. And I may rechange the name over, but no, they're fine. As long as they get you sort of. But if you do need to set up a company, you can just contact Company's House. You want to contact Company's House? This is my company now, and contact the VAT people. You want the VAT, because otherwise, like I say, guys, if you haven't got the VAT, you're giving 20% of your money away every week. All your expenses. Every time you fill up with fuel, you're giving away £20. Every time you get a tyre, you're giving away £20. Every time you change, you're giving a van, you buy a new van or a second-hand van, you're giving away thousands. Get on that VAT thing. Persona non grata. Wrote a very long response about Friday. Hello, mate. It seems like he's had a nightmare. He says, what happens when a job turns out? And he's had this, he's like, I've turned up, they've listed it as a small van job, but it's not a small van job. It's got 3 pallets. And then they turn around and go, you've got to wait for it for an hour. And then they turn around and go, oh, we've got another pallet and you've got to pick it up over there. And they're still, yeah, when that happens, just ring into your shipper and go, I've just turned up. This is not a small van job, and tell them what's happened. Chances are the shipper's been told the wrong information. So the shipper will then phone the customer and go, hang on a second, you listed this as a small van job. Oh, my van's assuming he's going to pick up a box. He's got 3 pallets. This is no longer that money. So then they will charge the customer more money, and then they will pay you more money. But talk to them. These are human beings. Talk to them, tell them the truth, reason with them. So look, if they're expecting me to wait, I've got turned up, it's not ready for 2 hours. I'm going to have to charge them £50 waiting time. But if they say, we don't pay waiting time, say, okay, fine. In that case, I'm going to cancel the job and I'm going to get another job. Because I'm not sitting here for 2 hours for nothing, in which case you're going to pay a £25 cancellation fee. And if they say, we don't pay cancellation fees, you go, okay, fine. I won't work for you anymore then. I don't work for them anymore. But most people can be reasonable. You can say, mate, what are you thinking? Would you? I said, while you're at it, when you finish your job tonight, will you come around and cut my grass for nothing? Because that's kind of what you're asking me to do. You're asking me to sit here and spend my time working for you for nothing. Because my time is money. And they understand that. They know the game. So chance most people are reasonable. And the final question comes from my cousin Darren. He says, is your phone track your face? Are you using face moving software? I don't know what happened there. It's probably happened on this one, but maybe something to do with a new Samsung. So anyway, today's Q&A. Keep on trucking, guys. Keep firing the questions. I'll do a few more videos. I won't post them up today because then you'll get sick of my face if you're not sick of it already. Like I say, hope you're all well. Hope it's all working for you. Any questions, fire them at me. I'm happy to help. Take care, take money.